Add me up on Discord. Destiny Helper. Sorry, Destiny Helper. I'm probably not gonna do that. The viewers, what up, dogs? What up, dogs? Forget how to make this edit. The one I was looking for. Okay. In the written.
I need to get closer. That ability isn't ready yet.
My confession. How's the fireball? And just go to the top. Confession. Hot. Ugh. Volume's alright, everybody? Hear me alright? One's in the chat if we can hear it.
That spell is
Yes, Emma. Heyo.
Hope you can accept the fact that I'm in for the
What it do, Emma?
This ain't about my career.
What it do?
It's about us.
Oh, mongoose.
Not ready yet.
Get out of the fire.
That's still recharging.
Waiting for breakfast. What are you waiting on? Making it or going out? I'm good. I am just playing some World of Warcraft.
So never mind what happened yesterday.
I can't do that yet.
That's all gone.
Delivery. I'm jealous.
The only thing tonight that we have
Oh,
is us.
you're getting that guy. So I gotta make breakfast. Haven't got mine delivered. I still need to eat. Tango hombre. Come on. Alright, where am I? Some meals here, bud. Morning. I got some coffee brewing right now. We'll be alright. We'll be alright. Where is this dough? Thanks, appreciate it. Chill vibes are good vibes, yeah?
That's still recharging.
That was a college project, and I knew I should have went to that place at all.
Ever play this game?
Whatever was in my mind, my body pushed those thoughts aside because it just wanted to dance. It just wanted to fly. Even had funky premonitions of me floating on daisies and tulips and daisies.
Come on, meatball. Oh, we got two meatball, don't worry. Heck yeah.
Sound the speaker that was coming out the wall. Or was this just another dream?
Meatball, do your thing.
Am I even here at all?
Yeah. I got a French press that I use to make coffee. Oh, alright. Yeah, I'm new to streaming. Relatively new. What about you? Do you stream?
Maybe they just fear me.
I don't wanna go to school tomorrow. I can study thinking about you. And you know I always do. I don't wanna go to sleep tonight when I can stay up thinking about you. And you know I always do.
Darn it.
Not
We're good, meatball. We can do this ourselves. the Resonite Task. Come on. Yeah!
I can't do that yet.
Clear all these fellers out.
I can't pass that yet.
On the bird. These dudes do a lot of damage. That's Gogger? That's him. No. Come on, get over here. I attacked you first.
Ready yet.
Damn, slower. What are you doing?
That's still recharging.
Oh, the pipes.
Not enough mana.
Not enough mana. Kill this fool. Man, I don't get much time for streaming, but I'll get a chance to stream because of job. What does that mean? Like your job incentivizes you to stream? Kind of cool. Or you don't get enough time to stream because you're working. Take this out. Yeah. Yeah, feel that. What's your job? What do you do? Business, 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 business.
I'm out of reach.
What? Hey, you're hurting me. Alright, bud, let's get you nice and happy. It's gonna be a big fight. We'll focus up. Oh, graphic designer. Pretty cool. I'm currently a student. I'm studying game programming. I also work part-time at the school I go to. Pay for my day. Yeah, pretty stoked about it. Don't help me get away. Alright. Let's do this thing. This dude. Oh, he's a it level 20? Yo, it's 1,000 health. Oh my god. Oh fuck. What the fuck is that? Oh my god. I'm gonna die. Fuck! Damn it! Oh, that's so annoying. I don't think I could pay for anything right now. I appreciate that though. I just can't, on a student budget, afford anything. Feel me? Take the Zeppelin. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Oh my god, I had so many things to use there too. What the fuck? That's so annoying. And when you kind of able to pay or like have something like that, you can ask for that. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really see myself reaching a point where I'm gonna be paying for like art on a channel. Just want to put that out there.
It is if everyone dies alone. I don't want to be alone.
Yeah, I mean, if you want some
populate the numerous jungle islands.
feedback, happy to help.
Blood and thunder.
Where the F is this? Further instructions. Yeah, I'm on Discord. I'm not on Instagram. Though I should be. Whoa. Can you do this, please? Talk to Ziz. Bro, what? Options. How do I reset this? I am no longer.
Hey, Billy, had to kill it. Yeah, beat so sick, I'm puking. Hey, I just had to do it. Yeah, I just had to do it. Hold on, what a bass. Hey, yo, you got a face. Hey, please stay out my space. Hey, weed from outer space. I'm just trying to get my face. Yeah, off of the rip. I just took a blue pill, shot up my chest.
Yeah, if you want to send your Discord through, I can tell you how to do it. Server shut down in 15 minutes? What the? Alright. That's a good sign to get off. I'm so bummed I die. Alright, Emma Justin. I'll add you momentarily.
It's too far away.
Get over here. One more, one more. In repair.
No crap. Fight well, friend.
Called Dirk. In repair.
Loktar, go with honor. For the Horde, go forth to victory.
Where my boy Galtunk at? Galtunk.
Don't be shy.
Makra, may your blades never dull. Strength. What are you looking for? Dabu. Speak, friend.
Speak, friend, and enter. Sarkov. There's just one of them? I could be right. Missed. I'm never really ready to put this stuff on. I'm in with it. Yeah, I got 2 cats. I just got a new kitten like 3 weeks ago. And I've had her sister for like 4 years. Yeah. Kitty cat. Nice. I had a dog growing up, so I was never really a cat person. Got a cat in COVID. I love it. They are the bomb diggity. Running around right now, kind of terrorizing the place, but gotta love them. Oh no, Sarkov. Bruh. Peace out, Sark. They are, I don't know. In one of the other rooms. I already did this. Find a, oh, okay. Momo! them know that I want to come right now. They're doing their own thing. Momo! There we go. Yeah, Momo and Kona. Momo is the older one, so she kind of knows her name. Kona has no idea. 3 months old. She just knows when it's time. Go snag one of them. I interrupted their playtime. Daisy and Dodo, I love that. Are orange cats crazy? Yeah, that's what I heard. Kona's a black cat. She's kind of nuts. I can't tell if it's just her being a kitten though. I just sent you a friend request. Yeah, he does have really pretty eyes. They're like kind of green. I have to switch it up. Finish his last quest before the server shuts down. Got him. Tagged him. Ha. Lazy? I do need to get looted. Yeah. Can't believe I died. Bro, that was would have used those. Seven. Oh, I'm so silly. What kind of games do you play, Emma? Fun ones? Oh, it's about to shut down on me. All right, let's do some learning. All right, let's take a peek, shall we? Mr. Pick? Are these just like avatars for a stream? Are you okay if I show this on stream? You okay if I show this right now? I don't really think there's anybody watching, so. Smythe. I like it. Mr. Pickle. Oh, is this Discord specific? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Looks like a lot of effort went into this. Like, you would use this on Discord instead of like Twitch, right?
Here's my story, it's sad but true. It's about a girl that I once knew.
Gotcha.
She took my love, then ran around with every single guy in town.
I mean, they're cool. I definitely don't think I am at the point where, I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Because you need like this stuff to kind of to grow platform, but you really shouldn't have this unless you have a platform. Hence. This is cool. This is like a YouTube intro. That's very cool.
Yeah. Oh.
That is also sick.
Who coming?
No, it's alright. I'm good. Zombie Demon. So these would be Twitch emotes, right? Yeah, I think this is pretty great. I mean, obviously it's like tailored to each streamer, right? Like I wouldn't have no use of Mr. Pickle. Thing is, like, I definitely will probably be looking into this, like, down the road, I would think. It's just not right now. I think this is cool. Feedback. I don't know. I really like the animations. I don't know. This isn't really my speed, but I'm sure it is some people's. This is pretty cool. I like the crossover of like Assassin's Creed and Daffy Duck. I've heard of Ducks. Very, very topical. That's good content right there. Nozux. Looks cool. Don't really know what this is. I'm assuming this is tailored to a specific streamer, so. I like the raid, the guns, angry, that's solid too. Heterochromia, different eyes, love that. Oh, I just downloaded it, I'm sorry. Hachi. This is sick. Big Itachi fan. Like a text on Discord, so I'll have to prove that you have gave my feedback. I don't understand that. I mean, you're definitely pretty good. You definitely got quality content here. Yeah, this is sick. It seems like this is probably the streamer, right? I think that's what I like the most. Is like when you kind of take somebody's likeness and put it into an emote. I don't really have the reference of what this person looks like, but it seems like this is would be pretty spot on. Why did it just get so quiet all of a sudden? All night. Scheming. Reasons to defend all of your violent rights.
The content folder within it. Then you can select that folder and you can see a successful log message pops up. And if you go over into your warehouse wreckage project, open up your content drawer, you should now see.
What am I doing?
To bring it into a newer version, and you think it will probably work, which I think it will. you can click Show All Projects, and then you can we can search, or you can look down through your projects and find the Warehouse Wreckage project.
We
And
got it.
then,
We're
because
chilling.
there isn't a compatible version within the asset pack itself, you have to click the drop down to select the nearest version, and in my case the nearest version is Unreal 5 Early Access.
We got
So I'm
it.
going to select that one, and I'm going to go ahead and add them
Thanks, Emma.
to
Doing some game programming now. Yeah. Feel free to swing back into the stream.
Nigga, do we have a problem? Matter of fact, Marlon, this ain't meet the Farkers. I beat his ass, pray I beat the Chargers. No daddy don't play, not when it comes to their daughters. Don't do no yoga.
Yeah,
don't
you as
do
well.
Pilates. Just play
How
piano
do you
and
cats?
stick to karate. I pray your bodies drink more like mine and not like your mommy's. Just being salty, but niggas is nuts. And I am a nigga, I know what they want. I pray that you don't get it all at once. Curves under your dress, I know it's pervs all on the net, all in the comments. You wanna vomit? That's your baby, you love her to death. Now she cutting class and hanging with friends. You break a glass and say it again. She can't comprehend the danger she in. If you whip her ass, she moving with him. Then he whip her ass, you go through it again. But how you the devil rebuking the sin? Let's pray we could put this behind us. I swear that these times is the wildest. She got the scars, they serve as reminders. Blood still on her pajamas,
the
but
project,
yesterday
and you can see it shouldn't take very long. It's doing a little
You too.
bit
Have a
of
good one.
downloading. So if you're on a Mac, this is the process for you. Now do watch along if you're on a
Have a good
PC as
day.
well, because this can be useful to know how you can bring across assets from another project, not just from the marketplace. So go ahead and download the Mac Props zip, which is against this lecture, and go ahead and extract it somewhere. In my case, I'm extracting it to my downloads folder. And when that's done, you're going to end up with a folder containing a U project. So double click on that U project to open it in your engine version. This project version is in Unreal Engine 5, so you'll need Unreal Engine 5 or later, and you may need to upgrade the project when you try and open it. When you open it, you're going to be greeted by this, the default map, but that doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to click down in the bottom left on the content browser, and you can see there is the Industry Props Pack 6 folder in here, which has got all the same stuff that was in the asset pack from the store. So you're going to right click on that, then you're going to go to the Migrate button, and you're going to just check that all these assets are indeed selected. You click OK, and then you need to navigate to your project folder, which in my case is here, and I can go down into the Warehouse Wreckage. I need to go down into the same folder that has the U project, and then I need to go into the content folder within it. Then you can select that folder, and you can see a successful log message pops up. And if you go over into your Warehouse Wreckage project, open up your content drawer, you should now see the Industry Props Pack 6 in there, like the PC folks. So once that has downloaded and completely finished adding to the project, we can go back over into Unreal and have a look at the content drawer. And by the way, you can bring this up with Control Space as well if you want some quick access. Now you can see that next to the starter pack folder, if we're in our content folder, there is now an Industry Props
anti-hero.
Pack 6 folder. So we can click into that and we can open up the maps and have a look at the showcase level just to see what kind of stuff is included here. Now, for some strange reason in my version of Unreal, if I just go ahead and double click on the showcase, it's going to spend a very long time here preparing to load up the level. So I wouldn't recommend doing it this way. You're going to be wasting a lot of life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just quit this task in the task manager, because I can't really quit it any other way while it's trying to load the level. And then I'm going to go ahead and reopen. And once that's open up again, we can go back to our content drawer. And the trick here, I don't quite know why this works, but if you right click on the showcase first, you can see that in the preparing the right click menu, it's doing a little bit of that work that it's going to do when we first opened the level. So what happens is it comes up with the right click menu, and then it has this little drop down pop up at the bottom that says it's preparing shaders. So what you can now do is you can just double click on the showcase and it opens instantaneously. But you can see that the showcase level doesn't yet feature any of the materials, but as it is preparing the materials and shaders over here in the bottom right, you can see that they're slowly starting to pop in one at a time. So there's still more going on with the shaders at the moment, but right now we can already see the shape and general colour of the objects in the scene. There's a lot of barrels, which I think I'm going to make heavy use of. Some crates, and definitely these racks are going to be fun to try and knock over. So let's go back to the starter content map that we were using so far. So we'll go back to our content folder all the way back up. And then we're going to go into starter content and maps and then minimal default. And what I want to do is show you just how easy it is to bring in some assets from that pack.
Wait.
Where'd you go? Go into the content folder again, into the industry props pack, this time into the meshes folder, and in here you can see all of the assets from that pack, such as these barrels. All you have to do is drag one of these into the scene, and boom, there you go. You've got a barrel from that asset pack, and you can enable physics, and you can do all the things we could do with the other objects in the scene. So let's take the challenge of knocking down some assets. I'd like you to place some assets in your starter content scene, enable physics on them, and you can potentially tweak the mass or whatever you want to do with them, and try knocking them down and see if you can have a bit of a fun experience from these new assets. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, welcome back.
Hey, chill.
So,
on the peace train. We'll simulate physics there. Hey, bruh. Bye. Okay, did it.
you can go ahead and add a few more barrels of different types and just see what these are like. We can also add a box or two, like so. We could even stack some barrels on top of the box, like so. Now, if you try and stack barrels on top of barrels at this stage, you're going
Out on the peace train. Dance, dance.
Going to end up with a little bit of a headache because these barrels currently aren't very stable when stacked on top of each other, but there is a way to improve that, and we will be doing that later on. So we're just going to go ahead and select all of these, make sure in the details pane we have the physics filter selected, and then click simulate physics on those. Then we can hit play, and we can see, there you go, I told you that those barrels aren't very stable. They just pop a little bit, and possibly the fact that our character was in the middle didn't help. So we're going to move player start back a little bit, like so. And then we go ahead and hit play, and yeah, they're still not very stable, but we can shoot these things and have a little bit of fun. This crate seemed way too light for my liking, so I'm just going to adjust its mass and rack it up to 400 and see if that's any better. Now, if I shoot the crate a little bit better, I still think maybe 1,000 kilograms for that crate would be enough, so making it 1 metric ton. Now, if we try knocking down the crate, it reacts a lot more slowly, and as I'd expect a crate of that size to react. Great stuff. We've got a bit more fun going on now in our scene with some of the assets that we've chosen ourselves. I'll see you in the next lecture.
It's not the way you talk me off the roof. Your questions like directions to
Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we're going to be creating a factory room and adding windows in, all using Unreal's built-in geometry brushes. Let's dive in and see how they work. So it's not generally best practice to be editing the default minimal level. We want to be creating our own. So let's go ahead and do that first of all. We're going to go to the File menu and hit New Level and select the Template Default and hit Create. In newer engine versions, your choice is going to look different. We're going to go to the File menu and hit New Level and select the Template Default and hit Create. In newer engine versions, your choice is going to look different. In this case, instead of using Template Default, please use the Basic here and click Create. And you're going to end up with a level that looks a little bit different to what you're seeing in this lecture, but for all intents and purposes, it should serve the same purpose. And this gives us a little world with a nice sky sphere so that we've got clouds, and but some of the default lighting in here is good too. So that's a good start. I'm going to delete the floor because what we're going to be doing in this lecture is creating our own geometry, blocking out geometry using the built-in Unreal geometry brushes, which are sometimes also known as BSP, which stands for binary space partitioning, which is really the technical details of how they work, so that's not as informative. I will be calling them geometry brushes. Now, the place that we go to add geometry brushes is the toolbar to the quickly add, and then we go to the place actors panel, which is going to give us lots more functionality than that little menu provides us. And then at the top of the place actors panel, you can see there are different sections, and one section is the geometry tab. Let's go ahead and click on that, and you can see the basic building blocks of geometry that we can place with geometry brushes. You've got stairs, you've got spheres, cylinders, cones, and boxes. So we're going to start by putting in a box brush, and you can see that it instantly starts with a little bit of a wireframe and then it fills it out. And that's because these brushes can work in one of two ways. They can build up your geometry by kind of creating it, or they can carve it out by subtracting it. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to create a little bit of a warehouse room, and we're going to achieve that by creating an outer box which builds out a box that's the entire room, and then we're going to carve out the inner section. So let me show you how this works. First of all, rename it in the outliner so we can keep track of it. So select the box brush in the outliner and hit F2 to rename it, and we're going to call this the walls. Then we're going to go ahead and scroll down in the details pane to where it says brush settings, and this gives us the size of the brush. Now you can scale brushes up and down using the scale property of the transform, but that's not recommended because it's not going to. And this gives us the to go ahead to rename it, and we're going to call this the walls. Then we're going to go ahead and scroll down in the details pane to where it says brush settings, and this gives us the size of the brush. Now you can scale brushes up and down using the scale property of the transform, but that's not recommended because it's not going to correctly scale materials when we apply those later. So don't touch the scale properties if you want your materials to look good. Instead, go down to your brush settings and you can tweak the size in here. So I'm going to size my room to be about 34 meters long, so that's 34 times 100 in centimeters. It's going to be 27 meters wide, and the height I'm going to give, which is the z-axis, is going to be 7.6 multiplied by 100, which gives us 760, and that's going to give us a roughly kind of sports hall sized area, hopefully, and we can tweak this when we bring in our assets to just check whether they are the right size. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our walls brush and we're going to duplicate it by selecting in the outliner, doing a copy and paste, and I'm going to call this walls subtract, and we'll see why we called it subtract in just a second. But we're going to go...
How'd you copy paste that?
Sports hall sized area, hopefully, and we can tweak this when we bring in our assets to just check whether they are the right size. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our walls brush and we're going to duplicate it by selecting in the outliner, doing a copy and paste, and I'm going to call this walls subtract, and we'll see why we called it subtract in just a second. But we're going to go back to our walls brush because I want to expand that walls brush so it's slightly bigger than the walls subtract brush. Okay. Walls subtract, and we'll see why we called it subtract in just a second. But we're going to go back to our walls brush because I want to expand that walls brush so it's slightly bigger than the walls subtract brush, which is going to slot inside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to each of the dimensions X, Y, and Z in the brush settings, and I'm just going to add 200, equivalent to adding 2 meters to each one of these. And with that done, we're going to go back to our walls subtract brush in the outliner and scroll down to the brush settings where it says brush type. Here we want to select, instead of additive, we want to select subtractive, which means that this brush is going to carve away geometry rather than add it into our scene. Once we do that, you can see that we've got a little room, because what we've done is we've created a solid volume with the walls brush, and then we've taken away scooped out the center using the walls subtract brush. Now, before we go any further, we should save this new level that we've created. So Control S will bring up the save dialog, and we can put it in the root of our content. I'm going to call this the main map, just like that, just main. And what we want to do is also set it as the default when we start up the editor and when we start up the game. So we go to the settings button on the toolbar, project settings, and then with our project settings we go to the project section in the left and maps and modes, and then here there are two properties we want to change: the editor startup map and game default map. Both of these need to be our new main level, and then we can go ahead and close our settings again, and this will open up in the future when we open our project. Now, I'd like at this point to bring in some of the industry props that we have, and the way we're going to do this, I'm just going to clear the filter by going to the filter button and hitting reset filters. Then I'm going to open the
chill, dog.
some of the industry props that we have, and the way we're going to do this, I'm just going to clear the filter by going to the filter button and hitting reset filters. Then I'm going to open the industry props pack folder. Then I'm going to go into meshes, and I'm going to bring in the tallest item I know of, which is the rack. So I drag in the rack into the scene, and you can see that the size of this rack is just about right for the size of the room. So I'm fairly happy that we've created a good size of warehouse. Now, I'd like to challenge you to make some windows. The way we can do this is by adding some new box brushes into the scene and making them subtractive, first of all, because we want to carve out those windows, and then position them in the walls and size them appropriately so that they punch holes through the walls and give you a nice window. Pause the video and see if you can.
That's a window. $34, $127.76. Those are tiny. Tiny windows.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Take your protein pills and
Put your Amazon.
ground control.
Alright, so this is actually, what is the Z-axis?
Commencing countdown.
Engines on.
Check ignition.
Brother, please control Z. Four. This is ground control to Major Tom. I heard it. The most peculiar way. Different today. What is the button? It's like Alt, drag, yerp. Nothing I can do. Bounce, 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 doom, doom. Hey, we want alt. Dun, 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 dun. How does this look weird? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Some kind all along the way. Bang, bang, bang. $34 divided by 3. $11.3 repeating. Right. It'll be a position. Oh, 11.3 repeating. Minus 50. That's not. That's not right. And it's raining. Whatever.
Can do this. Okay, welcome back. Let me show you how I would approach this. So I'm going to start off by making a hole in this wall to my left. I'm going to take a box brush and drag it on to the wall itself. Now, I want the size, the dimension of this to be large enough so that I can poke it through the wall. So first of all, let's go down to make it subtractive. So we go to brush type and change it to subtractive. And then we're going to push it through the wall until it makes a nice little hole. So there I've got a window already, but what I want to do is actually change its height and width a little bit. So its height would be the Z dimension. I'm going to try making that 400 and see if I like the look of it. Yes, it's a nice tall window, looks a little bit industrial. So now we've got a window that I like the look of. I'm going to rename the actor in the outliner. So I'm going to select it and hit F2, then I'm going to call it window, just so we've got these windows named and sorted. Then I'm going to hit Alt while dragging on the red arrow to create a duplicate window that comes out named as window 2, which is great. And in fact, I want to put these windows all inside a folder in the outliner, so I'm going to select them both, right click them, and click move to, create new folder, and call this Windows. Then selecting our window 2, I can keep dragging all the way across the room, remembering to release Alt between dragging, and that creates a new duplicate every time. And then to make a copy of those windows, then selecting our window 2, I can keep dragging all the way across the room, remembering to click move to, create new folder, and call this Windows. Then selecting our window 2, I can keep dragging all the way across the room, remembering to release Alt between dragging, and that creates a new duplicate every time. And then to make a copy of those windows across the room, I'm going to select them with a shift click in the outliner, and using an alt click on the green arrow, I'm going to duplicate them onto the other wall. And there you have it, windows on both sides of our newly created Geometry Brush factory room. I'll see you in the next lecture.
I'll see you in the next lecture. Whose looks better? Up for discussion.
Hello and welcome. In this lecture we're going to be making our level look a bit better by putting in some proper materials and adjusting the lighting in our room. Let's dive in and see how to do this. So since we've migrated to our new level here, we have lost all the functionality that we had in our previous level. If we go ahead and hit play, we can fly around this level, but hitting spacebar just makes us go up. So how do we change that? Well, fortunately, we can easily copy our functionality over from the old level. Just need to go and find it in the starter content maps folder and open up minimal default. Then we need to open up the level blueprint from the toolbar and then level blueprint. And then we can select all of the nodes in here by doing Control minimal default. Then we need to open up the level blueprint from the toolbar and then level blueprint. And then we can select all of the nodes in here by doing Control A and then Control C to copy them. To open up the level blueprint from the toolbar and then level blueprint. And then we can select all of the nodes in here by doing Control A and then Control C to copy them. Then opening up the content drawer again, we can go to the roots of content, open up the main level, and then open up its level blueprint.
Bro, you're moving way too quick.
Blueprint. And then we can select all of the nodes in here by doing Control A and then Control C to copy them. Then opening up the content drawer again, we can go to the roots of content, open up the main level, and then open up its level blueprint by clicking the drop down and opening level blueprint. And then finally, when we're in here,
Homie.
we can go to the roots of content, open up the main, copy them. Then opening up the content drawer again, we can go to the roots of content, open up the main level, and then open up its level blueprint by clicking the drop down and opening level blueprint. And then finally, when we're in here, we can select everything and delete all the nodes that are currently here, and then just Control V to paste in the functionality that we wanted. And now if we hit play in the toolbar, you can hit space. Functionality that we wanted. And now if we hit play in the toolbar, you can hit spacebar and fire the cannonballs. Sometimes they go through the walls, which is kind of funny, but you can fire the cannonballs at the scene. Now, the most obvious thing that is wrong with this scene is that there are no materials whatsoever on the floors and ceilings. That is something we need to fix. Now, fortunately, we've got some great materials in this project already that came from the starter content. But if we wanted to filter just for all the materials, so whether it's in the industry props pack or in the starter content, then we can do this quite easily by going to the little filter button to the right of the search bar in the content browser, and then going to materials, and then checking the material filter. This will automatically go and look for all materials that we have in our project. So we could do things like bring in a grassy wall, and we can drag that material onto a surface of our geometry brush, and we've got ourselves a grassy wall, which isn't exactly the most conventional wall material, but it certainly illustrates the point. And one more thing that we can do to tweak our environment here is look at how it's currently being lit. If we look at the outliner and search for light, then you can see that there are a couple. The outliner and search for light, then you can see that there are a couple of light sources in here. There is an omnidirectional skylight, which is just sending in light from all sorts of directions and giving us a kind of fill color. And there is a directional light, which is called the light source in this case, and that reflects the way that the sun lights our scene. So you can see that the shadows coming in from the windows are quite a harsh angle here, and that's because of the sunlight angle. If you double click on the light source, you can see the icon for the directional light is a sun with an arrow showing the direction. And we can use the rotate tool to change the directionality of that arrow, and so the directionality of our sunlight. So we can extend the shadows, change the direction of the shadows, and have them cast against a wall or have them come further into the room as we wish. So you can mess around with that to your heart's content to light the scene in the way.
Whoa. That's pretty sick.
Showing the direction, and we can use the rotate tool to change the directionality of that arrow, and so the directionality of our sunlight. So we can extend the shadows, change the direction of the shadows, and have them cast against a wall or have them come further into the room as we wish. So you can mess around with that to your heart's content to light the scene in the way that you would like. So let me challenge you to decorate your own room. I'd like you to choose some materials you like and drag them onto the floors and walls and ceilings, probably choosing something different and something that matches with an industrial vibe to against the floors and ceilings, and something that makes sense. Or you could go completely wacky, wherever your heart takes you in this particular instance. And then I'd like you to adjust your lighting as well to however you like it. And once you're done, don't forget to go and share a screenshot of what you've created in the discussions below this lecture so other students can see the great work you're doing. Pause the video and have a go.
That's completely wacky. Gotta go cobble on the ground, right? Ooh, rough cobble? Nah. Alright, how do I pin this? There it is. There it is. And we'll come in a teeny bit here. To go over her. I like this cobble, I think. Oh, that's good cobble. That is good cobble. Oh wait. Nah. Well, actually, it probably would be just concrete. Yo! Boring. Ground gravel. And then concrete on the sides, maybe? Mossy ground. I like the cobble. I'm a cobble guy. It's happening. This is fine. It's not perfect, but it is fine. Light, directional light, skylight, directional light. Hell yeah. Little dusk, little dusky. Where's the light? There it is. Everywhere. I'm about it. I'm about it.
Okay, welcome back. So obviously I'm not going to keep grass on my wall. I think my walls will probably be some sort of clay brick, so I can drag that onto the wall instead.
Clay brick?
There you go, we've got a nice bricky texture.
That's
I'm
what I
just
did.
going to repeat that on my other walls. Okay, that is done. Now, I haven't been completely complete about this, because you would have to drag the texture onto each of the windowsills as well. But because they're a little bit far off in the distance, I'm not going to bother with this on screen, and you can, of course, do this level of polish if you so desire. But next up, I'm going to bring in some tiled concrete material for the ground, which I think gives us a nice rustic look. And then finally, for the ceiling, I'm going to go for these concrete panels material. So let's drag that on to the ceiling, and there you go, a very rustic looking ceiling. So finally, let's hit play to test this out and see what it actually looks like once it's all illuminated. And I'd say looking pretty good. We've got some nice light in here. It's quite airy, and we've got the right sort of scale for our props. That's it for this lecture. I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome. In this lecture we're going to be looking at how we can add multiple components to an actor so that we can have multiple meshes and a more complicated actor that acts as a single unit when it comes to physics. Let's dive in and see how to do this. So now that we've got a decent looking level, let's look at putting together a little bit of a diorama for us to knock down. Now you'll notice that when I dragged in this rack mesh, it created an actor but doesn't have any rack elements inside it. Now you could go over to the content drawer and just cancel out the filter here by clicking on the filter button again and just hitting reset filters. Then going to the content folder, the industry props meshes, and looking for the actual rack item itself. I can drag that into the scene, but you'll notice I would have to very carefully position this. And what happens if I enable physics on both of these items? If I go ahead and hit play, you see that they kind of work. They kind of stick together to each other but then if you hit them, this kind of weirdness happens because they aren't cemented together as one single item. So if we want to make a single item out of multiple of these, what we need to look at doing is having multiple components. So when you select either one of these actors, you'll notice that they are actors that contain a single component, a static mesh component. We've seen this before. But you can have more than one of these static mesh components. You can add actually as many of them as you like. One of them has to be at the root of the actor, and the other ones will be children of it. And let's just have a look at what that means.
Makes
if
sense.
I first of all delete the rack actor that I brought into the scene, I'm going to open up my content drawer, and instead of dragging on to the viewport, I'm going to have my rack 1 selected, the vertical blue bars, and I'm going to select my rack 2 and drag it onto the static mesh component. And you can see it gets nested just underneath the first static mesh component. So that's what I mean by it is a child of that static mesh component. And what that means is that if we move the actor or the static mesh component, the rack will move with it. So
Where's Mo?
the position of the rack, if you click on that rack component, you can see that the location is currently set to 0, 0, 0, but that's not true. It's not at 0, 0, 0 in the world. If I look at the rack says it's got a whole bunch of numbers, 1,600, and even some offset from the ground. So why is this rack 3 within it showing something different? Well, that's because when you are a child of another component, your position is relative to the position of the parent. So if I were to move this component, if I select the rack 3 component and I move it up along the rack, then you can see Now, the only change to the location is that Z movement that I've added.
Z.
And that gets applied along with the position of the parent in order to give us the overall position of that component, which is very handy because it automatically means that whenever we move the parent around, the child is going to move with it. And by the way, exactly the same thing holds if I were to rotate the parent, it also rotates the child. If I were to scale the parent, it also scales the child.
Yo.
But let's undo the scaling and rotation for now because I'm quite happy with it as it is. So I'd like to challenge you to add another rack. The way we're going to do this is by adding a second child component to that actor. It's going to be a sibling of the first rack, but a child of those blue bars. And you need to enable physics on the root, so on the topmost static mesh component, and see what happens when you play. What happens now if we hit it with one of our ball bearings? Do we get any of that weird glitching? Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to do this one of two ways. So you could drag it in from the content drawer, or you could select the rack component in the details pane and copy and paste it to get a second one. You can see that these are now siblings. We've got a rack 3 and a rack 4, and we've got a root stack component in the details pane and copy and paste it. Or you could select the rack component in the details pane and copy and paste it to get a second one. You can see that these are now siblings. We've got a rack 3 and a rack 4, and we've got a root static mesh component. I keep calling this the root because the way this works with actors is that one of these components always has to be the root component, and it's actually the position of the root component that tells us the position of the actor. The actor doesn't have a separate position. It is only that position of the root component. So what we can do now is we can move this second rack up a little bit so that we've got a nice kind of layout here. And then what we can do is select that root static mesh component, select the physics category, make sure we've got simulate physics enabled, which we do already, or at least I do. The other two racks should have it disabled, so the two children should have it disabled. And if you go ahead and hit play now and launch a cannonball at this rack with a good aim, you can see that the whole thing has now been welded together and it moves as a single unit, which is much more as we want it to be. Great stuff.
Excellent. We did it. Enough for today. Godspeed. My one viewer on Kick, thank you for joining. No viewers on YouTube. Got one on Twitch. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.